Finance Clinic show. At this show, we take time to explore the subject of finances and life. I am Dr. Pardon Mwansa. I have spent a good chunk of my work experience dealing with counseling people on financial management. As a matter of fact, I spent up 16 years just focusing on helping people understand finances and how to manage them. I have this hobby, and it's a strange one. When I am very stressed from all angles of life's issues, and I want to distress, I will go and take my checkbook, my accounts record, and start reconciling. I love doing that. I remember taking the longest exam I've ever taken, which was a 10-hour exam when I was writing my certification exam for Certified Financial Counselor with the state of Colorado. That was the longest exam I took. But you know what made it fun? Because I just love dealing with issues of finance management. So welcome to the Finance Clinic. What is the Finance Clinic show about? The Finance Clinic show, as the name would betray, is dealing with two things. Finance. What is finance, or finance, as some people want to pronounce it? Finance is the science, the study or the science of studying how to create and manage money. This could be at institutional level, it could be in your personal life. So you deal with banking, investment, risk management, assets, liabilities, just the entire cluster. But then there's the word clinic. What is a clinic? A clinic is a place where people go to be examined for purposes of being given advice for treatment. And so at this show, what we will do is we will take time to give financial signs or financial exams. I will talk about signs of a person managing wealth, stresses that come with financial management. You expect to see signs, and therefore you'll be able to gauge where you are. Secondly, I will bring public opinions about the topic we are discussing each day. You'll be able to hear what people say about that particular topic. Then I will take time to present content about that particular subject. In that content, I will take time to also say what research has outlined or concluded about given topics. I will also spend time bringing up on the show testimonies of people on how they have managed their finances in the different phases of financial management. You don't want to miss that, because that will be so nice to listen to different testimonies of people. I guess the question lingering in your mind is, who then is going to benefit from this show? Everybody is going to benefit from this show because everybody manages money. One day I was walking on the streets of Mwansa, and an insane person met me. They did this. And when they did this, I knew they were asking for money. I gave them money. They took it. Even mad people manage money. As a matter of fact, there was only one mad person I knew was really mad. It's a man who tore a 50 kwacha note when I gave it to them. That one was really mad. So everybody is going to benefit from this. I would especially single out certain groups. Number one, when you are a couple intending to manage the wealth of your finances in your home, this will be of interest. If you are contemplating getting married or marrying, this will be an interesting topic. If you have a lot of wealth, this will be an interesting topic. If you are a child, this will also be an interesting topic to learn about life. Therefore, I invite you, take your pen, take your paper, sit down, and let's go on this journey. Welcome again to the Finance Clinic shows with Dr. Pardon Mwansa. We now take to the streets of Lusaka, Zambia to sample the public opinions on the 3 critical questions that affect our subject today. Question 1, why is it important for people to learn and understand money management skills? Why is it important for people to understand and learn sound principles of managing their funds? Question 2, who should learn about money management skills? And question 3, how do those people rate themselves on the scale of whether they are high, low, or medium in terms of their ability to manage their finances? Come with us to the streets.
Kupunzira kusunga ndalama chinthu chabwino pa moyo wathu, because ngatapunza kusunga ndalama tizachita develop country yathu. Manje ngati sitiza kusunga bwino ndalama sitizaziwa kwamene zifanika kuzingira, ndiponso mazingidwe yathu yazakhala yotivuta.
We have responsibilities to ourselves, our families, our neighbors, our fellow Christians, and the wide world in general. So if we don't manage our money properly, or we don't manage God's money properly, we can't be effective, and we're not acting according to God's will, because He surely has a plan for us as He enriches us.
It is very fundamentally important for us to be able to know how to manage finances, because we are just but stewards of what is God's.
It is very important to know how to manage money, because without knowing how to manage money, you end up in a crisis if you just use money anyhow. So you need to manage how you can spend the money properly so that you organize your things in a proper way.
I believe it's both man and wife, but mainly the responsibility is on the man, because as a man you are the head of the house. As a result of that, you plan for your family and ensure that financial security.
Inekero kupunzira kusunga ndalama ni mukazi. Because mkazi kali bamuna wangazisebenza wakupasa, but ndiwo weka mkazi mwanamga kambisirane na mwamuna wako mnyumba kuti tufunika tisunga ko ndalama mlando nani ma problems yamene atifika ni aya na
ine panopo ndine naishira muno mu Lusaka nga street boy wale senda mave panshi batu mulando wawati namuno wati rupia chikangalo kulusunga na adisungiro rupia panondera ndana alikula na kanganda na alikwata na kasacho konjenderamo no rupona nona alikwata na abana na bonda wala na kuskulu so chikangalo kuishwa kusunga rupia ukwambira fe kumusepero kwisafika na fwe bakaramba na mitotera.
Who should learn about how to manage the money? It is everyone's responsibility to know how to manage money.
Everybody should know how to manage money, because it affects everybody and we all need money. So as parents, even with children, from an early age, we should teach them how to manage their money. And then as they grow up, they'll be able to do so.
To me, I think not only parents should learn how to handle money, but also the children should, because it can help them when they grow up. For example, I help my parents to do most of the jobs, like this machine here. I know how to handle it, can stop it and start it, just like that. Parents should also teach their children how to lend money, because it might help them in the future.
Everyone should learn how to manage money, starting from a tender age. We need to teach our children how to manage money, so that as they grow, they will know how to manage themselves and even to manage their monies, so that they do not run into a crisis when they cannot manage their money properly. Well, I will not rate myself as on the high or on low, but on the average.
I think with me, it's something else. I would rather give it to my wife so that she can be like handling the money. And with ladies, they are too good, they are too economical, and they know how to make budgets at home.
It's very difficult. It's a very difficult question. But when it's come to managing money, and I really try, but I'm not all that perfect. That's all I can say.
I rate myself on the high in terms of money management, because I know that the money I have is not mine but belongs to God, and that we have a responsibility to God in managing these finances, because He says all the silver and the gold belongs to me. And this is why I rate myself as such, because I know I have managed my finances quite well to this very day.
In terms of money management, I've learnt over the years. I don't think I am very good on money management, but I'm trying to be better all the time. So hopefully, as the years increase, I'll get better and better. But I've learnt some lessons from mistakes I've made in the past. So by God's grace, I'm improving.
Welcome back. That was interesting. It's so interesting to notice that both men and women, with no exception, indicated to us that it is important to learn principles of money management. I was particularly touched by the testimony of the boy, who also indicated how important it is for younger ones, the children, to learn about money management principles. Our topic today is swim or sink. There is one major objective I am looking for as I make this presentation. I would like you as a viewer to understand why you need to understand principles of money management, so that you don't suffer the consequences of failing to manage your money well. Now, when you look at the title, Swim and Sink, the question is asked, when do you learn how to swim? Is it when you are sinking? Hopefully not. You learn how to swim before you sink. And so this presentation is really helping us avoid sinking by learning how to swim ahead of time. I raise 5 and 6 points that I'll add on to now examine the effects of failing to manage your finances well. What happens to a person who is financially stressed? The first effect of financial stress is that it will affect your physical health. Your physical health is affected when you have stress that comes from failure to manage your finances well. Documentation is available on research that shows how severe financial stress will lead to anxiety. Anxiety is the state of panic where you don't know what to do. You have this bill that has come, you have that payment you're supposed to do, you have this thing you're supposed to meet, and in the process of this, You start having anxiety, and one effect of a financially stressful life is your health can start breaking down. Not only anxiety, if not managed well, your financial mismanagement can actually lead to depression. Reports are there in studies of people who have failed to manage their finances well, and when they have failed to manage their finances well, they have gone into depression. And depression is a medical condition that needs treatment or attention. I was reading an article. You can check it out on Yahoo or Google it, about deaths in Japan. In that article, it was reported that majority of the people in Japan who commit suicide, the reason given is that of money. They get depressed. They fail to manage their financial world, and the only thing they do is take their life to end the cycle of mental torture, the anxiety, the depression that they go through. And so let me say this, and sincerely say so. A life in which you don't manage your finances well will result in financial stress that can cause health problems, including mental anxiety. Reports are given. When people go through a severe trauma of financial stress, that even their blood pressure can actually shoot up to levels that can be detrimental to health. I appear to paint a negative picture here, so let me flip the coin and put it this way. A well-managed life financially will promote your health. Hey, I like that. I like that. Because when you manage your finances well, you get into a situation in which you are happy, you don't have as much anxiety, you don't have the depression that comes from financial stress, you don't have blood pressures that come as a result of financial stress. So in a way, the positive side of managing your money well is that it promotes your health. This is true and has been verified to really mean exactly what I have said. Secondly, a well-managed life of finances will enhance or promote or result in a good life in your home. The opposite is true, that the effects of financial stress include the breaking of your home life. Let me break down this. When in a home, a couple is experiencing severe financial stress, they are going to be quarreling. As a matter of fact, it was interesting. There is a study that was done and conducted by a bank. And in that study, that study, which was done by a bank, simply stated that 35% of their clients reported that their domestic problems are a result of financial issues. Now, that simply means you will have, if you don't manage well your home finances or your financial life, you are likely to have severe financial stress that comes in your home life. That will mean your marital tension will be very, very high. But not only that, there are reports that report that people have divorced, the D word. People have divorced because they have just failed to manage their finances well. I remember one time being approached by a gentleman. That gentleman, when he came to see me, he said to me, "Doc, I am contemplating a divorce for the first time in my life." I asked why. He says, "Because my partner, my spouse, is constantly failing to help me put together finances in our home so that we manage them in a healthy manner. Good thing is, I helped them work out through things that restored their stability." Let me share with you what research has shown that was done in Zambia, right here in this country of Zambia. We sent out a questionnaire to the public, scattered out to hundreds of people, and we got 700 responses from couples. In this questionnaire, the question that was asked was, out of the 11 issues listed in the questionnaire, select the issues that cause the highest conflicts in a home. And the issues were, number 1, money; number 2, children; number 3, in-laws; number 4, sexual unfaithfulness; number 5, careers or jobs; number 6, friends; 7, religion; 8, personal hygiene; 9, communication; 10, lack of respect or alcohol; then 10, staying out late; and 11, suspicion and jealousy. The list that you see on the screen. The question asked to people, to the couples was, and it was individual people. It wasn't just like a couple filling the answer together, but it was couples. These were married people. The question was, identify the issues that cause the highest conflicts in homes out of the listed items, 11. When we tallied together the data that was collected, here in Zambia, these were the results. Communication was number 1 cause of conflicts in homes. People just fail to communicate. And out of 11, communication was rated the number 1 cause of conflict in homes. You guessed right. The second one is money. Money, 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 money. We broke it down, and further in our series, I'll present to you the breakdowns of this. But for today's purpose, all I want to say is money was rated the second. The third was in-laws. Whatever in-laws have done or do. I'm an in-law, but you know, there's something about in-laws that cause stress in homes. And number 4 was sexual unfaithfulness. But we are interested in number 2. Evidence shows, and this was right here in Zambia, evidence shows that money is number 2 cause of conflicts in homes. Well, what's the point that I'm trying to make? The point I'm trying to make is, if money is the number 2 cause of conflicts in homes, then why not learn the principles of managing money so that you will be equipped and avoid sinking? Remember what we said. It can cause health problems. It can affect your homes. And when it affects your home, it can actually lead to divorce. Even, unfortunately, people commit suicide. Let's look again at other effects of failure to manage money well. Effects of financial stress will show themselves in lack of self-dignity, or your self-dignity will be affected. Self-dignity is the respect you have for yourself. You know, how do you start dealing with yourself? When, for example, you know you are in a financial mess, you are going home, you don't have money to give to your family, you don't have money to put food on the table, you don't have money to help with what is necessary for you to run your home. It starts affecting your self-esteem. It starts affecting your dignity as a woman or as a man or as a household leader. Failure to manage your wealth well will affect your personal dignity. It will affect how your family views you. Now, I'm not trying to incite families to kind of look badly on somebody, a spouse, who is failing to manage the home finances, but I'm also not shying away from the fact that a spouse may not say it, but they will know within their hearts that your failure to manage your life of finances, either by revenue, by expenses, or all of that, is affecting them. They will start perceiving you in a manner you would not like to be perceived. And lastly, others will have a negative view of you. I had to tell you a story. A certain person owed me money. And I called them. They didn't pick up the phone. I called them. They didn't pick up the phone. Finally, I decided to just give up. But as I was driving, I saw them ahead of me in a car, and I decided to follow them because I wanted to pass the information what's going on. So I saw them pull in a certain place and park there. Then I decided not to go there. I decided to phone them. So I phoned them. I saw them in the car pick up the phone, look at the cell phone, and put it down. When they put it down, I then was tempted to say, I'm going to talk to them. So I just braved it, got out of my car and went to them and greeted them and says, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm fine, thank you. Then I said to them, you know, I've been trying to reach you by phone. And then they said, you know, Doc, these phones sometimes just don't work very well. I tried to, my phone is a problem. It's not the phone that was the problem. The problem was obvious. They did not want to take calls from a person they knew they were owing money to. So what do you think becomes the view of how people hold you, your dignity, your respect, when they know that you are even dodging answering of phones because of failure to manage your financial world? So your self-dignity will be affected when you fail to manage your finances well. The next thing that will be affected is your spiritual life. Your spiritual life will be affected when you are not able to manage your finances well. Let me describe to you this. We all know that a committed Christian life is one in which we exemplify Christian values in all areas of our lives. In the family, the way we live with our families, in our community, the way we work with people, the way we talk with people, the way we respond. But one of the areas that is actually, it's like a sign of your maturity in your spiritual growth. One of the areas, and I'm not saying it's the only, but one of the areas is how committed you are to the teachings of Scripture that teach about what a Christian should do with their finances. One of which is the returning of tithes. Another one which is the support of your faith through offerings that you give to the church. But do you know something that will happen? When you have too much debt to pay, you will not return your tithe. When you get your net of your salary and you look at it and you have this and that bill to meet, you will immediately say, where do I get the 10% to return as tithe? To the church or to God? At that point, you will deliberately forego putting into practice one of the most valuable spiritual experience. You know, returning a tithe to God, because he says, the tithe is mine. Returning a tithe to God is an acknowledgement that the wealth you have is not yours, but it's an entrusted property, an entrusted thing to you for proper management. For God, for yourself, and for humanity. But when you start failing to manage your finances, you will fail to meet your spiritual financial obligations, the results of which will be a defective or an affected spiritual life. In Christian life, just like in life in general, we also want to help the poor, to help others who are struggling. But when your finances are in shambles, you will constantly be saying thank you to people helping you. Little will you say welcome when you give them help. So one of the areas, again, that will be affected when you don't manage your finances well is your spiritual life. It's important also to continue and learn. When you fail to manage your money well, it will affect you to the point where some people, I hope not many and not all, some people will be tempted to steal. And stealing is something Christians and even non-Christians do not promote. Stealing is bad. But one thing that will happen when you are in a financially stressing situation, your chances to steal are high because you are struggling. Where you are supposed to be faithful in your report at your workplace, you are likely to change figures because you want to meet your personal needs. You know, to be really, really honest and frank, this is a big concern that should not let you drop down your ability and desire to learn how to manage finances. Because if it drives you to the point where you actually are tempted to steal, the consequences can be severe. You can end up being jailed because you, from stealing little money, will steal big monies or will become a corrupt person. Let's look at other things that will be affected. The other things that will be affected is relationships. Relationships have to do with how you relate to other people in general. When your ability to manage finances has become poor, like I said on health, it will affect your relationships with people because you just won't relate to them. But let me go to the next one. It will affect your success as a person. Your success as a person will be affected. A person who is financially stressed will struggle to be a successful person because finances is an obvious aspect of one's life in terms of success or failure to succeed. Companies have collapsed because of failure to manage money well. When a company starts to fail to pay salaries of workers, workers will become indisciplined because they are desperate. They need money to put food on the table. And when they are not paid on time, they will start knocking off from work, going out to make money, because they don't have their salaries given to them on time. And the employer, the CEO, will find it very difficult to discipline the people that work for your company when you are not paying them. Obviously, when you are failing to pay, that simply means you have a challenge financially as a company, and it's resulting in your failure to pay. I am yet to see a successful company that perpetually fails to pay its workers, that will have effective workers, that will have self-motivated workers, that will have workers that just are vibrant, trying to do their work. Bottom line is, when you don't have, when your company starts failing to meet the basic needs of operating the company, such as missing out salaries, whoever you are, your company will not be successful because it will not have happy workers. I could say the same about a nation. A nation, any nation that fails to manage its finances in a successful way will not be a successful nation. It will end up in higher levels of corruption. It will end up in higher levels of debt. It will end up in all levels that are negative. And what's the outcome of such a nation? It will just start collapsing until it finally collapses. And so one of the effects of financial stress is definitely that you will not be a successful person. You will not be a successful company. You will not be a successful nation. Flip the coin with me and look at it positively. What will it do if you are a person who has learned this art of managing your finances well? You are on the path to success. Your company is on the path to success. Your nation is on the path to success. And so, having covered these areas that we have covered, areas in which you can see the importance of managing your wealth, that if you manage your wealth well, number one, you are likely to have good health. Number two, you are likely to have a good, vibrant home. You will reduce on your domestic issues. Number four, your relationships will be much healthier with other people. Number five, your life will be successful. Your company will be successful. All the things that I went through. So I want to share with you that with all these things that I have described here, and I have only described few, wouldn't you want to be a successful manager of your wealth? A person who manages your wealth in such a way that even your spiritual life is vibrant. So in our finance clinic, we will cover different topics. For example, we will spend time discussing revenue. How do you bring in money in your life? What helps you build a financial life in which you bring in sufficient money to help you manage your life? We will spend time talking different angles of how to improve, increase on your revenue. We will also spend time understanding your expenditure. There are many people who earn sufficient income, but whose spending habits are so destructive that the much that they earn does not suffice for their financial needs. So we will spend time discussing that. We will also spend time discussing issues such as retirement, issues that affect how do you live your life when your income, regular income, has ended. We will spend time. There are many people who unfortunately have been careless, or if not careless, things didn't happen when they were making their money, and they didn't do the things they could have done, and when they enter into retirement, they don't have fun. They don't love it. We will also spend time discussing risk. How do you reduce on the risk of losing the wealth you have worked for so hard? What are the principles that you can explore to maximize the wealth you have worked for? What are the principles that you need to know to reduce on the risk? There is always risk when you have wealth, risk of losing it. But there are also principles that you can learn, skills that you can acquire of how to reduce on your loss of your wealth through proper risk management structures. We will also spend time on many other topics that have to do with financial management. We will talk about investing your wealth. We will talk about maintenance or preventive spending. We will talk about different facets of life that constitute a well-managed life financially. I guess the question that I have in my mind as I conclude this presentation is this for you. Do you really want to sink, or do you want to swim? I don't think you want to sink. But if you want to swim, then you better know the principles that govern successful financial management. At this time, let me introduce to you the gentleman who will give us a testimony today. That is Mr. Lynn Bilika.
It so happened that there was a time when I used to do a lot of business and I had a lot of money. I had a lot of plans to move forward to see what I can do. There came a time when this client came to me and said that she wanted to help me grow the business. And she told me to say she wanted to help me to grow the business. I was very much interested, such that we started working together with her. She introduced me to somebody who was to sell me 2 vehicles, of which after she earned my trust, I had to pay for those vehicles. Later on, when it was time to go and pick them, I discovered that that lady was nowhere to be seen. And it was after I spent a lot of money on them. And after spending a lot of money on them, I looked for her everywhere. I could not find her, such that I was brought down almost to the scratch. And I asked myself to say, what am I going to do now, since this has happened? I tried to cry, do what, but things could not help. Until at a time when I said, okay, what am I going to do now? Let me start organizing myself, so that I put myself together. And the bad part of it, sometimes when such a thing happens, you'll find that even the people that are closer to you, they'll try to come and ask what you've been through and try to scold you and try to add more salt on the injuries. I remember my uncle called me to say, can you tell me where you are regarding the savings and everything? I explained to him. He was very upset with me. Thank God I was very calm, patient until he finished explaining everything. Then I answered him, say, Uncle, in life there are ups and downs, and sometimes before you make it in life, you learn it the hard way. And thank God that right now I don't have much like to say I'm very rich. I've learned it this way. I know there will come a time when I'll make it big and I'll be very careful going forward. And after we talked like that, he saw sense in what I was telling him, such that when I explained to him, he said to me now to say, can you start saving? When you start saving, learn to do things on your own. Don't trust each and every person. Love was affected, the life for the children, school and everything. And there comes a situation whereby you try to borrow, trying to maintain what you have as a family. It was hard. I discovered that I wanted to change my children to the school where they had to go to, but it was very hard for me. At home, things were not the way they used to be. The eating pattern, the way we used to do things, you could want to buy even small things that are cheap, you could not manage. It was hard, such that even the relatives that came to borrow money from me, it was hard for them. If I tell them I don't have, they say, no, it's because you have become stingy. Is it the money that maybe is for Satanism or what? Why can't you share with the people that are your relatives? I tried to explain. Of course, I couldn't manage to explain whatever I'd gone through to each and every person, because not every person can give you a good idea after you've passed through such. Because what I discovered was that even the fellow Christians that we go to church with, the trust that we have among ourselves, we take to the people who cannot even trust you, who are not even honest, and they end up bringing us down. So what I've learned is that in life, there comes a time, even when we are making money, not every person should know how much you have or what you are worth. But some will come and borrow, or they entice you into doing something which will end up bringing you down. And in the end, you live to regret. So in life, there are lessons that we learn before we make it and before we climb the ladder of success. However, at the end of the day, I believe God knows why you have to pass through whatever you pass through, because it's for the purpose that we teach others to, maybe through what we're going through. Others, I know they cannot manage to cope with what I went through, but because of what I went through, if I explain to them, they'll be able to know to say, okay, if such a thing can happen, you can go back to your drawing board and move on again in life, and then you can eventually reach where you are going. In life, when there's no money and things are not moving well in the house, sometimes you'll be seen as though you're the causer of everything, because some things that we try, you discover that you tell your family to say, we're going to do this. Sometimes they may not buy it because they don't see sense out of it. When such a thing happened, I'm telling you, things were not as they were at home. So in life, what I've discovered is that you should maintain your calm, even when the family is, of course, pressure will come from all the angles. The family members, your children, your wife, and any other person that are close to you, because they will not understand the situation that you are in. However, I still maintain to say that it's not every person that needed to know what I was going through, because I knew that it was just a passing phase and God was going to raise me up again. And I thank God, because after I learned what I was going through the hard way, I had to save, and at least now I'm doing very fine and we're heading the right direction. And my children now are able to go to good schools and I'm able to pay for the school fees, and we are happy again.
What a story. What a story. In life, it is almost impossible to avoid many people that come in angelic dresses. You know what I picked from the story of Mr. Bilika is that somebody comes dressed like an angel of light, and yet by the time you part company, their true colors are known. Now let me say this on when the comment of trust. You know, trust in business or in financial transactions must gather as much facts and as much things done as should be possible. If and when you are going to engage in a transaction, It is good for you to know the person you are going to engage in business with. Not only know them, but have documents about them that can trace who they are, where they are, and what it is they do. You've got to get as much facts as you can. And then secondly, you've got to make them go through the processes of signing with some witnesses. Broaden your transactions. The more people know and are engaged in your transactional details, the safer the end may be. Have you wondered why banks ask us not only for one signature, your signature? They will ask you for a witness. They will ask you for who is going to be this. And it's because it is important for you to have as much facts as you can about a person you are dealing with. Now, be skeptical. Life does not bring angels only. Most of the people that are out there, particularly in the business world, most of them that carry small briefcases end up being con men or con women. Just be careful of that. But there's another lesson that we can learn from the story that we heard. And that is to experience a pitfall. To fail once does not mean you have failed and therefore you collapse. As a matter of fact, failure is good to experience because it teaches you lessons you are to avoid in your next experience. So one of the things that we pick from this story is you go through an experience, learn from it, move on with life. Failure or disappointment is not an end to life itself. There is also something that I picked from that story, and that is the question of one person's financial mistake can result in causing miseries to many. The gentleman experienced a transaction that ended up into a bad one, but he had now to have his children change schools. They had to change the menus. In other words, a mistake made by one person had consequences that were lived by many. This is one thing that has to be kept in mind, and it underscores the point we have made in today's show, and that is being prudent, being careful, being alert to knowing the skills that will help you manage your finances. Because when you use those skills that will help you avoid pitfalls, your success will result in the happiness of many, just as your failure will result in the failure or in the consequences lived by others. Now, as we come to the close, I have an assignment for you. This is assignment time. Now, you know the way life is. Learning does not take place until you have begun practicing what you have learned. So here's an assignment for you, and there are two assignments that I'm giving you. Assignment number one, review our lesson today. I want you to review our lesson today and ask yourself the question, what have we learned today? And then as you review the lesson, I want you to understand. For example, if you say, I learned that if I don't manage my money well, my health may be affected. If I don't manage my finances well, my spiritual life may be affected. I want you to now apply it to your life. Which of these areas is directly affecting your personal life? How have finances affected you in any of the areas we reviewed? But secondly, I now want you to decide on one action that you will do to now try and get on the right path to financial management. Now, what am I talking about by decide on one action? For example, you could say, number one, I will go to the library and get a book on personal money management, and start reading it. Or you may decide and say, I am committing myself to make sure that next Sunday, at the same time of this show, you will be glued to the TV to watch this show. And our next show will be on an important subject. Now we will start the actual stuff of what is needed for you to understand the entire concept of financial management. Thank you. Till we see you another time. Blessings.